speaker series here at the Ignite Hub, which is at Montgomery College. So thank you for the delicious dinner that we had today for that. This evening is the kickoff of our fall programming. This is our Fireside Chat Career Series, and we offer this all throughout September through May, with the exception of January. And we invite speakers to come in from the community to talk about their career pathway. Entering into IT or tech or any kind of field, there's so many different options and pathways to go. So our goal with this speaker series is to bring to you, or bring to our community, people who live in our community and what was their experience and what did they learn on their journey, so that all of you, wherever you are in your journey, or people in your family or your community, that you've heard their story, because stories are important. And hopefully they inspire you to continue on your path and look for other resources and opportunities as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker for this evening, Mr. John Bui. He is a technical... Okay. He is a technical account manager working in the government tech space. Prior to that, he was a technology consultant working in all facets of the software development lifecycle to help the government implement digital solutions. He is passionate about government technology, risk management, cybersecurity, and empowering others to get into tech. So this evening's topic is cultivating a network to transition into tech. And this is really important because in our area, there are many people who decide to change their career, right? And especially after what we've just lived through in the last 3 years, people are reevaluating how they want to spend their time and what they want to do. So John here tonight is going to talk to us about his journey into tech and how we can build networks so that we can be successful. So if we can give him a round of applause. Welcome.
Thank you, Kimberly, for that wonderful introduction. I'm excited to be here, to talk about cultivating a network and transitioning into tech. It's something that's very dear to my heart. Yeah, let's get into it, Eduardo. Oh, yes, my apologies. If you're wondering why the slide deck says Year Up program, it's because I gave a talk to my Year Up babies that I mentor them. They're actually some of them are in Nova Community College, and some of them are high school students trying to get into the tech industry. So Year Up is essentially a nonprofit. They basically help students with certifications, building a resume, and most importantly and impactfully, they partner with corporate Fortune 500 tech companies to place these students into said internships. So, I had the privilege of cold emailing them, and then they responded to me, and I was able to speak on, cultivating a tech network. So yes, that's why the slide said that. I was going to change it, but Eduardo said it was fine. So yes, so just a quick background. Even before, my career, I can kind of take you back quickly to high school. I wasn't a very good student. I failed SATs multiple times. I failed a lot of classes. I had a low GPA, things like that, kind of leading me to going to Montgomery College. So I actually was a student here at Montgomery College. And when I started, I actually took the AccuPlacer test and failed miserably. And they were like, John, what's going on? We can't put you in Algebra 1. We have to put you in pre-algebra because, your scores were so low. So there I was taking, a year's worth of classes, non-credit classes. And my dad was like, what the hell's going on? Am I paying you your tuition if you take remedial math and English classes? So literally it was just a class on literally how to read a paragraph and how to write a sentence, and 1 + 1 is 2, and so on and so forth, So it's very surreal to be here, in this building today. But to kind of speed up a little bit, about 2 years ago, well, actually now 2.5 years ago, I was overeducated. What I mean by that is I had a bachelor's degree in biology. My parents wanted me to pursue medicine. I'm of Vietnamese and Teju, which is Chinese, indigenous Chinese descent. So, anyone, who comes from immigrant background or refugee background, you will know that your parents, they've done a lot of sacrificing to put you here in the position to succeed. So, but sometimes they get a little bit too pushy, right? And they like, why can't you become a doctor or a lawyer or engineer or like your friend or your cousin or your brother, and et cetera, et cetera. So my parents wanted me to become a doctor. So I was a biology major, took a couple classes, and I failed a lot of chemistry classes, like organic chemistry, biochem. It was just like weed out classes. And so, but eventually I persevered. I graduated. I went to pursue a master's in public health, actually, and worked a couple years there. But I was making minimum wage. So you can imagine being overly educated, right? And working a job, and you kind of feel like it was kind of hard because I was passionate about helping people, but I wanted to help myself. But to help yourself, you have to kind of, put more money in your pocket, right? To be able to survive and the cost of living and things. So I was making, $15, $20 an hour working as a behavioral health specialist. But prior to that, I was a special education teacher, actually working with students of special needs and autism, who I love very much. Um, you know, so overly educated, bachelor's degree, master's in public health. I tried to apply to random tech jobs without, this is before I even knew you have to structure your resume a certain way, right? You have to think about the recruiter's perspective of your resume and how you can speak to, the job description, the job requisition, and how you can kind of align and tell your story. I didn't know any of that. So I applied a lot and got denied. So that's why I put parentheses, pretty sure it failed the ATS. So what did I do? I was very, hungry and resilient to be able to push through, obstacles and barriers. So one day, I talked to my friend, and my friend was a product manager. Basically, to keep it short, sweet and simple, they help drive the direction to build software to solve a business problem and make money or cut costs, or depending on the business objective. And I was like, how do you do that? And he was like, if you don't have any experience, try to build something. So I actually tried to build a startup while working, my 15 to $20 hour grave shift, trying to come up with an idea. I didn't really know a lot about the tech industry at the time. And so I kind of went with my gut and something of a problem that I saw, right? And something that I was familiar with. Um, so I went with mental health because I spent a lot of time working with kids with autism, then working with ED kids at the hospital and kids with various behavioral, you know, um, disabilities and across the spectrum. And so I thought about, currently in that landscape, there was not a lot of software that was able to kind of clearly kind of help you go and search for a therapist or a mental health clinician. So I knew nothing, but one night I was just very inspired, and it was kind of a slow night at work because we didn't have a lot of intakes. So I decided to write what's called a PRD, a product requirements document. And that is what drives the direction and the strategy for every software company, because every software company amongst IT and security, they also have the product team, which consists of, the product manager, the UX design, who designs all the pretty, layouts and everything that you see on a mobile app or a web application. And you have, like, of course, the engineers, right? The ones that actually build it. The one that's like, John, I know what I'm talking about. Leave me alone. Because they're the ones coding and not me. So what I did was I went on LinkedIn and built like a following, I was networking, And I was cold, pitching my idea to college students. Some of them were engineers, some of them were aspiring, they want to be a designer. So I gave them, it was like a transactional thing, right? Like I had an idea that I wanted to go from 0 to 1, and they wanted some experience that I could give them, right? So we were like, it was a perfect marriage, basically. So I built the side projects. Eventually, we launched our version, but it failed because one of my technical co-founders, he lost his job, and he was going through like a breakup, like a marriage, a divorce, and he was just a lot of life things happen. And just like in life, you have to persevere, you have to be resilient, and you have to kind of know when to switch directions, you know, which I didn't know at the time that I possess all those qualities and those traits that working in a tech company would require, right? Would need. So what I'm saying is a lot of you have a lot of skill sets, a lot of transferable skill sets that you may not know that is with some work and some alignment, you'll be also you will have a successful career in tech or working in adjacent technology roles. And I pretty much, after that failed startup experience, I used that experience to leverage it. I transitioned to quality assurance. So basically, writing test plans and testing the electronic medical record system of the hospital at Adventist Healthcare. I don't work there anymore, so I can talk about it, and basically was a software tester. From there, I went to consult for some startups and then landed at this government technology company where I was a consultant, working, different projects and things like that. And then, and then I joined like the customer care side as a technical analyst. So I've been there for about like 6 months, I think, working through IT security, network, database issues. Eduardo, you could go to next slide. All right. So I like to, have like an icebreaker, because sometimes when you're sitting here hearing somebody talk for like an hour, you're just like, who is this person? Why are they here? Like, what about why should I be here? So I like to do icebreaker real quick. So if you could, we're just gonna switch it up a little bit. It's not about which year up track you're in, but it is why you're interested in the field of IT or tech, your favorite food, and your dream job or company. So I guess I can start, or if anyone else would want to start.
My name is Silvia Escolero, and what was the second one? Yeah, I've been passionate about the IT ever about, I don't know, 20 plus years. And I do enjoy it because you can see the trends of the history and how it goes. And even though even if you are not in IT, you can see the iPhones and all the technical things that are going before your eyes without knowing you're already doing some IT work, IT things, because you are, that's the whole world about. Everything goes around it. My favorite food is, I guess I love salads, all kinds of salads. And my dream job is I would like to work in a company where I can use all my skills, and that they also like to help others to make the whole entire humanity better, because there are people who want just money, but they don't care about others. And I'm in the small ways that I am like him. I have in my growing, I help I had helped others to overcome things in life, like helping people who are dealing with cancer or others who lost their loved ones. And so I'm pretty familiar with human part of it. So that's what I love as well.
Do I have to say?
You can stay seated. Whatever makes you comfortable.
Hello, everybody. My name is Emily. I am currently a junior. I'm studying cybersecurity. But I really like cybersecurity technology because I think I'm a problem solver. So solving problems and making people secure, that's something that I like. My favorite food is lasagna, and my dream tech job or company would be a company that is a healthy company that uh, cares about their employees. And I would love to be a security analyst or a software developer. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carla. I currently work for Montgomery County Public Schools, and in my current role, I am assisting community members, especially new immigrant families. So I'm just trying to learn more about what things are being offered, especially with Montgomery College, which is so close to many of our schools. So I want to take it firsthand so that I can tell my families about what opportunities are out there. And I also just want to learn more about tech because tech is the past, the present, and the future. And we have to be in the know. So hopefully I can get something out of it too, alongside with the families I support. My favorite food is eggplant parmesan from RPM. And I think my dream job would be anything that gives back to the community, alongside with tech and using its positive aspects, and something that has to do with helping rescue dogs, because I don't know how I can merge that, but my vision is something that has to do with that.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Jen, and I am currently a microbiologist, but I used to be a high school science teacher. So um, part of me loves the innovation and the technology from a young age. I loved it. But I also know from having spent 3 years teaching that technology really sells science well in the school systems. And so this year I've been really reaching back into my education minor and my teaching background and trying to see what I can do to help Montgomery County teachers help their students thrive. So if I were a part of a tech endeavor, it would be something that would create something that would inspire the new generation of sciences and scientists and help more students sign up for advanced science classes. I love pizza. Pizza is so yummy. What's that? What else? Dream job? I think I'm living the dream. I love this. I love just hanging out and doing what, drives passion. So, yeah.
Hey everyone, my name's Kayla Padilla, and I would like to work in the front end area, making the pages look pretty of a website. And my favorite food, I love tacos. And my dream job would be working at Google in California or missionary work with my church. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mercedes. Um, I'll start with my favorite food. It's Peruvian and Iranian food. I consider myself 50% Iranian and Peruvian, 50% because I like the food. Yeah. I recently taken the tech map
Hello?
classes from
Hello?
college.
Hello?
So because I decided to switch fields, I am a digital designer, graphic design, and animator. And but I wanted to try this new field, so I am kind of testing the river. Yeah, testing the waters. I don't know how you say it. Yeah. And my dream job would be work like Google or Apple. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of people online that have responded too. I have Efrain Majano. I hope that I'm pronouncing your name right. Otherwise, please forgive me. And he wants to transition from healthcare to IT for financial stability and better work-life balance. His favorite food is wings, and his dream tech job is still undecided. He's unsure. Great. Thank you, Efrain. We have Yidbarek Kebebe, and he said he's interested in the IT field. He's teaching himself now, and he would like to do front-end web developer, a WMC, and his favorite food is Ethiopian, or is an Ethiopian food called shiro. So thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Like I've heard, cybersecurity, software engineering, even, Carla wanting to give back and provide information, from the community and being from Montgomery County Public School System. So thank you to you for being here today to, see what the Ignite Hub has to offer. I went to Wooten High School back in like 2009. That was when I graduated. So yeah, I've been like, a MoCo resident. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's a great way. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I guess I can go, or we can go to the next slide. Yeah. So I label this, right, the old classic chicken or the egg problem. And the reason why I label it that is, it's funny because it doesn't matter if you're trying to break into the tech industry or have a taste of it and see if you like it or if you don't like it, or if you're somebody who's, more senior like Eduardo or like, me with 2.5 years, you're still always gonna, this statement is never gonna really leave you because there's always new things to learn, right? There's always new challenges, new problems, and how do you innovate? Like it's so hard to create experience. You know what I mean? That's something that I've been thinking about recently. It's like, how do you create experience if you don't have the traditional experience? And how do you sell and market yourself if recruiters and companies are looking for, you know, more traditional or cookie cutter folks, right? That have this linear path where they went to school and they majored in IT or computer science or cybersecurity, and they got an internship, I don't know, let's say at Deloitte or something, and then Deloitte just hires them, right? Like right out the bat, like a linear path. So for me, it's like you need experience to break into tech, but you need a job to get that experience. So what do you do? Next slide. I hope you like my my visuals. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Next slide, Eduardo. So I'm gonna tell you how you would do this. And for me, I'm currently still doing this, to this day. It's about building a network because it's about information sharing, and community building and things of that nature, because each and every one of you in this room literally have a skill set or knowledge or something that we can all learn from, just because I'm sitting here talking to you today as the guest speaker, it doesn't mean that I haven't, listened to your story and haven't taken inventory of what I could actually learn, and how can I apply it to my journey. Because once breaking into tech is a challenge, but maintaining it and growing and advancing in the field is also very challenging as well, So it's about building a network. Next slide. So I would say let's talk about building a network. Can someone, show of hands here, Can somebody tell me what would be the top 3 things that they would do right now in order to build their network? Whether it's transitioning into tech, or whether it's absorbing information from the community and taking it back to Montgomery County public school system, to families, to students, just network for, because I know not everyone here is, the majority of you are trying to test the waters, to want to break into tech. And for some like Emily, who's a cybersecurity student, you know exactly what you want, So the building the network the strategy is gonna drive, you to become a cybersecurity professional, right? To be a SOC analyst, or to be a security analyst, or, so on and so forth. So does anybody want to give a shot real quick? Like the top 3 things that you would do to build a network? Yeah. LinkedIn. Yes. That's the key. That's the magic word, right? LinkedIn. I realize LinkedIn is very, very important. What else? Thank you, Sylvia. Emily? Conferences? Very good. Like tech meetups, with like-minded people. Because honestly, I read, there's a book that I read. It's called The Third Door by Alex Banayan. I might be butchering his name, but I believe he is Arabic, Persian. And he basically was a student at USC. And he was on this journey, this life journey. Instead of, studying for the MCATs and going to medical school, he was like, I'm going to figure out how I can talk to the top influencers of the world. So he literally talked to people like Bill Gates, to Maya Angelou, to various, very powerful, impactful people, right, of the society. And what he discovered was you can go through, there's the first door, which is you apply, right? And that's how you get in, right? Speaking in terms of opportunities, and more specifically, for this purpose of this fireside chat, a job, So the first door is you apply and you interview and then you get it. The second door is referrals, right? People that will refer you into their company because sometimes it could be a mom and dad or family member that owns a company and they just kind of refer you in, or it could be, friends that you're close with and you kind of develop a rapport and relationship, and then you kind of make your ask, that way, pending that you did your homework and your portfolio is up to par and everything like that. And the third door is actually you creating that connection. And you do that by, once you have all your ducks in a row, you find somebody's email, and in that email, you literally cold email them asking for what you want. Because the thing that I realize in life is you could be like the best person that you can be within your profession, but if nobody knows, or if you can't kind of tell your story, or you can't pitch somebody, it can be, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it could be a bit of a challenge, right? So I've learned that the power of cold emailing and networking and everything like that is very powerful. So that's the message that Alex was trying to drive across in his book, is the third door. Yeah, like literally creating an opportunity out of no opportunity, as my wife likes to say. So that's something that I learned, with her and her career journey, is sometimes you just have to create it. And I'm going to talk about how to create it right now. So I call this like the legwork. So the way you do it is you learn in public, right? You document your learning, you document your journey. It could be in a group with people. Let's say, you know, in the back, your name, Kayla, right? Yeah, so Kayla. So let me give you an example. So let's say, so Kayla, you're interested in front end design, like UX, right? Like user experience. And then, I'm sorry, your name, ma'am? Mercedes. So let's say, you know, Mercedes is a digital designer, right? Graphic designer by trade. And then you have Kayla, who's interested in UX. And Kayla, do you currently work in the design field right now? Okay, you're a student. And let's say Kayla and Mercedes get together and they develop like a community, right? Like let's say they go through and they think about what projects or things or they can collaborate on, and they document their journey, right? So what I mean by document your journey, it doesn't have to necessarily be on LinkedIn. It could be offline as well. If some people aren't very LinkedIn, you know, public, they don't want to display their work yet because I don't know, maybe they're a perfectionist, you know, or they're not ready to display for people to see their work on LinkedIn. And from there, you know, because like I said, you could be the best designer or coder or whatever in tech or IT, but if nobody kind of knows and you don't like develop this community, um, it's that's how you make the impact and that's how you get the opportunity that you really want. So, you know, when you document this journey, eventually you do have to put on LinkedIn though. You know, like eventually you do have to post on LinkedIn of your learnings and your findings. And what you do is you start tagging industry leaders. You have to kind of do some homework. You kind of have to do some research a bit to about the person, you know, and then you would tag them, you know. And after you tag them, and they will likely respond to your LinkedIn engagement and post. And after that, you go on LinkedIn and oh, and then of course, if you're doing a group project, you can tag your fellow classmates or, you know, fellow cohorts, you know, or even like friend that's on this journey with you together. And you basically, it's a group effort, you know, just like working in cybersecurity, IT, tech. None of that would be possible if it was a one person team, you know. It's legitly like everyone. And you know, someone like Eduardo can tell you, like, even when everyone comes together, you still don't know what the problem is, you know, and it's still really hard. It's still really difficult, but in the end it's worth it though, because we're, you know, for one goal, one mission, you know, things like that. So like I said, you sometimes you can set up a Discord or a Slack channel, you know, kind of like a collab together on projects and things like that. But that's something, you know, I could talk about that forever. You know, you could message me on LinkedIn and we can talk about it for, you know, endlessly. But for the sake of time, we must move on. So next slide, please. Yeah, so like I said, once you achieve, like once you have a couple projects or work that you're doing, even if you don't necessarily finish the project, you could be in the beginning stages of researching and you have certain questions that you want to ask or you want things that you want to know about. You can message people, you know, on LinkedIn that have been there before, simply by you know, simply by going on LinkedIn and asking them, hey, like, my name is so and so. I am, you know, cybersecurity student or interested in UX design, and I'm working on this thing, and I just wanted to know what your thoughts are. But you have to be, you know, specific, or you could say like, hey, we'd love to chat about your career journey, you know, and that's like more than 50% of the time they will accept your LinkedIn request. Next slide. Okay. So, sorry guys, I was just checking the time to see how much time we have. So it looks like we're good on time. So when I was doing this talk with the Year Up students, I was remotely and I shared my screen. And what I did was I went on LinkedIn and I literally they just like they like I told them to shout out something like, oh, cybersecurity engineer at Google or whatever, whoever. And what I did was I basically typed in that person's name on LinkedIn, and I pushed the request button, and I typed my message, like my cold message to them, like, hey, my name is John. Technical accounts, yada, yada, yada. I've slowly developed an interest for cybersecurity because of then you name drop like what you're doing. Like, and I told him, I was like, because when I was a consultant, we had a authentication issue with single sign-on, and that's when I learned the importance of XYZQW about cybersecurity. When it's something that they can relate to, they're likely to, yeah, like exactly like what Eduardo said, like they're likely to respond. But we're not gonna do a live demo here unless you really want me to. So okay, that's cool. No, that's something that I can talk with you guys if you add me on LinkedIn and we could talk more about. But Eduardo, next slide, please. Thank you, sir. Okay, all right, yeah, like there's no volunteers. But so I like to, so you have like, you gotta take as many shots as possible, right? You miss 100% of shots you don't take. That's like famous saying, like Michael Jordan said it. A lot of athletes and folks said it. I like to, even though I don't play sports competitively, but when I was in school, I did play basketball and football. So I think even though I'm in the technology industry, I still approach it like with an athlete's mindset, being resilient, being flexible, being adaptable to change. Because sometimes, you have to literally, sometimes it is a numbers game. Part of me being able to be here today was, I took a chance on myself. I was open to, criticism, right? When you're doing something, some certain people will tell you that, oh, why are you doing that? Why can't you just stick to, being a microbiologist, for example, or to just stick to what you're doing. Why do you want to make the change? And oftentimes, sometimes you'll realize that they're asking you that because honestly, sometimes people are jealous of others. They're jealous of. Unfortunately, like I don't like to, not to be like negative Nancy or anything like that, but just to keep it real, like some people, you're working and you're working towards a goal. And some folks will be for you and they'll support you, and some will not. I've had people tell me like, "Oh, John, why didn't you just continue in healthcare? Why do you want to do tech?" Guess what? Those people, they were in tech, so they were questioning and they were, wondering, why am I encroaching on their territory? You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes in life you have like those two choices. You have like, you can continue doing what you're doing if it makes you happy and satisfied, right? If not, then you kind of have to devise like a plan. First is thinking about it. And for those of you in the room who attend to, as well as those on Zoom that attend to hear me speak today, you've already made a decision to yourself that, yes, I want to learn about the tech industry. I want to learn about IT, and I want to figure out, what's my plan? What's my roadmap? What does that look like? And to me, it's like those principles can be applied no matter what industry you're in, right? Like the job that you have currently, you probably you stepped through the same steps to get there, right? So the technology industry is just, at the end of the day, yes, it's just people like building stuff, like at the most simplest form. But the principles that you have, I promise you that you possess those principles that you use in your profession. And those are very parallel to you being able to break into like, you know, the tech industry and things like that. So, you know, that's why I'm just like, sometimes you have to take a lot of shots. Even myself, like till this day, I'm still taking a lot of shots, you know. I got recruiters like DM me and I interview, and it's like some of the experiences were good and some of them were not so very good, you know, but it's about perseverance here. Yep, next. Yeah, so I think it would kind of circle back to the LinkedIn connection and, you know, accept meeting and booking. So you should come up with questions to ask this person, you know, like, for example, how did they get to their career point? What are some things that excited them along the way? What are some challenges? Because they'll love to tell you, you know, and in regards to, you know, these, they would make remarks about these, assumingly, you know, it's the right person and everything like that. Here is a live script that you could use, and literally you could take this, as Sylvia already like took a screenshot, but yeah, you just say, hey, insert person's name. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for taking time to chat with me today. I was hoping you could touch on a challenge that you're facing. You know, love to brainstorm some ideas with you or run some solutions by you. This is more post call. So this is after you've had this virtual coffee chat with them. And the reason why this works so well, I feel like, is because one, not a lot of people are doing it. I can promise you that. Two, it really shows a lot of initiative. You know, some people, they've been in the industry for a very long time, you know, and when they see somebody that's hungry to learn and to grow and to be different and to set themselves apart from other people, you know, it really makes a big difference. Like, for example, those of you in the room who are working in your careers or jobs, it's like your company hired you because they felt that you were different, right? You could bring a different perspective, and sometimes different problems, they need a lot of different perspectives, right? To solve. You know, so that's why that's very important. And what you would do is you own the problem and the solution, right? And then you can email it to them. And you'd be like, hey, like, I love chatting with you, you know, said script. And then you kind of dissect the problem. And you don't even have to have the right answer. You just need to show the drive and the willingness to learn and the initiative. So that way they know that, hey, this person is really serious, you know, like this person is really going to take it seriously. Because in actuality, it's like working in the tech industry, it's an ongoing learning process. You know, today I came across a problem that it required like 5 people, and we were all like twiddling our thumbs, like, what should we do? You know, and so it does require like a team effort, you know, like a lot of teamwork. And that's something being an athlete, a high school athlete, taught me. So next slide, Eduardo. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, no worries, no worries. Yeah, so I'm sure you have like a million questions or things for me. So we just do like a Q&A real quick. If anyone has any question or comments or concerns or anything I can address for you, now's a chance.
Thank you, John. So you just helped us go into our next portion of this event. So question and answer is really an important part of our guest speaker series, because what we have found over the last year, yay, now we can say a year, that there's rich conversation in this room, and we all bring knowledge and experiences and information. So in addition to question and answer, please feel free to answer somebody else's question if you have that. Thank you, Eduardo. For those of our guests that are online, please put your questions in the chat. I have the iPad right here, so I'll just read it off into the microphone. So would anybody like to start? Any questions for John? Thank you for sharing your your story and some great tips for us of how to use LinkedIn and how to network. Anybody with questions? Yes.
First of all, thank you for coming and sharing your story. I rate that. My question to you is, who were the cold DMs that you've done? And like, if you had going forward, like in the future, your wish list of your top DMs that you'd like to, like people that you think would take you to your next 5-year plan of your career. But if you could start with the previous, like who you've cold, obviously you scripted it, but like maybe individual pro stories, con stories.
Yes, Jen, thank you for that question. To answer your first question, I definitely, even when I connected, let me just say this, even when I connected with them, they connected with me and they said nothing. That's, yeah, like, no, like, so it's definitely, yeah. Like I like to just think of it like this. That part of my journey, I like to think of it like sales, right? It's a numbers game. Nowadays in the tech landscape, there's a lot of competition. Like I was talking to Sylvia here before, and we were talking about, it's a lot of competition, right? There's people who are veterans in this space. There's people who are students. There's people who have a lot of experience and they got laid off and they're trying to break back, get another job, and you're competing with like those people. So I think that goes back to my saying about you got to shoot a lot of shots, but really all you need is one. All you need is one yes, and it'll change your life. Because I'm sitting here today to tell my story because I was just a kid from Montgomery County, right, Wooten High School, like growing up, I know some people that went to build like tech companies that were from Wooten actually, So but at the end of the day, we're just kids from Montgomery County who, we had a dream, like we had a vision, and like we just went for it, So on the note of the cons, yes, there were folks that did not respond to me. At one point, I was really dead set on working at companies like Deloitte and Booz Allen and those big name tech companies. And after speaking with like friends that work there, they're like, it's a terrible work culture. It's really yucky there, like really not cool. And as I've heard earlier in introductions, like you guys have kind of alluded to, work culture is very important, right? You want to be valued as an employee, don't you? Like you're working hard and everything. You want them to value you. As for your other question about are you talking about like my dream people that I'm trying to DM? Yeah. So I realized in my career that when I was a consultant, I was very functional. But now as a technical analyst, it's very technical and it's becoming technical for me very quickly. So I have to, kind of dive back into books and study up on I plan to get AWS certified and learn Python, things like that nature. So with that point being said, I will probably message every single person that has like AWS or cloud or solutions architect or cyber, like kind of around that realm, because I find myself wanting to pursue, that path, as well as I guess people that work at Google, like Amazon, whenever they figure themselves out in the FANG world, and start to hire people again, but these relationships, you have to develop them over time. And it takes a long time to build the relationship, But yeah, thank you for asking that question.
Okay, we have a couple of questions here in the chat. The first one is, what is the biggest piece of advice you have for college students when interacting with recruiters and attending career events?
I love this one. And who asked this, Kimberly? Raheem? Okay, thank you, Raheem, for that question. I would say make sure you have your ducks almost in a row. And what I mean by that is make sure you have a resume. And in this day and age, leverage technology. You know, you want to work in technology, you leverage it. I use AI like Chat GPT and things like that all the time to help me, do things. So I would say make sure you have at least a readable, resume, and make sure it's structured properly. And if you're in college, you have, of course, the career fairs and things like that. But I would say really leverage the alumni network. The alumni network is something that I wish I did a lot of when I was when I was a student, because they can give you some knowledge and some information that you may not know yourself. So resume, reach out to alumni network. So because once your resume is almost in a row, then that conversation with recruiter is going to be more fruitful. You don't want that one chance of meeting a recruiter at a career fair at a job that you really want to be like you're kind of one where you're kind of fumbling, where you're like, oh, like where they can look at your resume and they could be like, okay, yeah, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. You want to come having done your homework and everything like that. So that's something that I would do, that I still do to this day, actually.
Thank you. Next question is from Yaberik. They say, thank you for sharing your experience. Is it possible to be successful and get a tech job without joining university or earn a degree?
Yes, I love that question. And Kimberly, what was this participant's name? Yaberik. Yes, thank you for that question. It's definitely possible because I feel like nowadays you're starting to see that traditional education, if you're a doctor or a lawyer or other professions, then yes, unfortunately you do have to go to college and get the degree and the higher education learning. But for tech, only one thing matters. So if I say whatever I say, if you don't listen or if you don't take away, but this I encourage you to take away. It's about doing the work. It's about proving that you can do the work. Companies are starting to kind of stray away from traditional, learning and education. And I'm not here saying that it's a bad thing, or to go to college or go get a master's degree or higher learning. It's just whatever is the right fit for you. But for Yaberik, who's asking this question, I'm assuming that he would want to pursue like a boot camp or self-learning, because I was talking to Kimberly earlier, like there's a lot of boot camps and programs out there nowadays that will teach you the skill and give you an internship to apply the skill. Therefore, with that, coupled with the proper resume, you can get your foot in the door for tech. So yeah, very much possible.
Okay, I definitely want to make a plug for Montgomery College here that yes, in our workforce development continuing education, we have the Information Technology Institute. So we have courses that are related to certification. Some of our guests that are here today are on that pathway. They've also participated in Tech Map, which is free. And again, getting that hands-on experience to get you into a tech field. And then you have to build. Just like any career pathway, there's a starting point and there's beginning, and you move up. And as you move up, it requires different training, certification, and you need to demonstrate, right? I want to go to a doctor that has been trained and has worked on patients and knows what they're doing, right? That I trust them with what they're doing. So there's a pathway. Okay. Last question here in the chat. My name is Gayatri. My qualification is Master's in Commerce and Postgraduate Diploma in Computer Application. I recently finished my software QA training. How do I get an intern or beginner level position in QA?
Great. That is, and this is for Yabarak, or is it name? Yeah, 3. Okay. Thank you for that question. QA is a it's a great field. It's a great entry point. So for him that's if he's completed the master's program and everything, and it depends. Maybe reach out to your school to see if there's networks of internships or classes or programs and things that you can kind of speak to them on and be like, hey, I finished this program. This is where I am currently. This is my current state. I'm looking for internship work. Is there any possible, internship work? Maybe the school has. Look to see. Sometimes the schools, academic institutions, they have software too. They have IT roles too. They have QA, cybersecurity roles too. So sometimes the opportunity literally lies within the circumference of one's reach, right? So I would say that another thing I would say is develop your resume and build a LinkedIn, and then literally start reaching out to people like how I did back when I start and how I'm still doing to this day.
Thank you. Any more questions here? Yep. And you want to, okay. Is it tied to his or go ahead? Okay. Here we go.
I have 2 questions. Do you have anyone in the tech industry that you admire? And do you have any advice you can give us about the work environment or any bad experiences that we should be cautious about?
So somebody that I would say I admire, I think one person is Sam Altman. He's like serial entrepreneur. He started he leads like Y Combinator, which is an accelerator for people who have ideas and they have funding and network to build a startup. So literally it's like a startup school. You have an idea, you have a team, they have funding, they have access to investors and things of that nature. So they support you, along the journey. And Sam Altman is like, he's worked that thing. He outside of Y Combinator, I think for the past couple of years, he led efforts at OpenAI. It's like a AI company, and that's I feel like that's why AI became so big, because OpenAI built ChatGPT. Like literally, when I first heard ChatGPT, I was like, what in the world is that? Are people making stuff up these days? So yeah, so Sam Altman. And then to answer your second question, Kayla, I think to me work culture is very important, um, which is why I kind of transitioned from the consulting space, because as a consultant, I was working a lot of long hours. The work-life balance was a bit challenging. I've had to deal with various characters and personalities, managers, as well as people, teammates and things. I don't like to paint a negative picture about people, but to say it diplomatically, it was a challenging, it was very challenging. And you're getting into tech, like I said, it will be a challenge, but working in it every day is it's a different type of challenge for sure. But if you have support, families, partner, colleagues, teammates, they're the ones that help me be able to be my best to, solve the problems that I have to solve. Working in the government technology space, the problems are they come across. Sometimes I come across a problem and I'm just like, what? So it requires a lot of support and a lot of teamwork on that, and efforts on that front. But yeah, like definitely it's possible, definitely, but you have to kind of be real with yourself. When the days are not so good, you kind of have to figure out, what makes you happy, right? Because I'm not married to my job necessarily. I do love tech a lot, but I have a wife, I have a family, so I kind of lean on them for, to talk or to support. And honestly, giving back, like doing these kind of things. I also aim to improve my public speaking abilities. So hopefully, like I did okay today because this is actually my first time speaking in public outside of school.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to come and wise us up, educate us. In regards to Jen about the call DM, you made a good point that we are to reach people. And I'm sure there is a lot of people, like even myself, if somebody reach out to me and ask me, I'm more than happy to help. So we just go with a positive attitude and asking. And if it doesn't, well, we move on. But like you say, 100%. I took a shot of that one too, because if you don't ask, you don't know. If they say no, you didn't lose anything. If they say yes, you're like, yay. And so many points you give away. I mean, I wrote this down, but the other one was like partnering. Like one wants to do the front end, the other one knows how to digitize, and the other one the back end. Yeah. So there you go. We have a company already. So right. Right. And so I love those points where you say, oh, I had an idea, I have a passion. I'm like, I'm going to do that too. They are the M. I was like, yeah. So thank you so much because, staying at home or not being connected, you don't know what's going on or how things can be. I love how you were very vulnerable to show everything that happened to you. And wow, you now a masterpiece. Praise God. And, it takes many fails to be a winner sometimes. It's not just like, oh, everything is pretty and pink, but it's a determination and a hunger. So I thank you so much for everything. And thank you for a great dinner too.
So talking about the cold message on LinkedIn. So how do you go? So you email them, they get back to you, you talk to them, you learn about them. So and then that's it. You send a thank you for talking to me. And then how do you I don't know, let's say, how do you move on from that? How can you develop like a um yeah, relationship with a person?
Yes, Emily. Yeah, thank you for that question. That is a very great question. I think it depends. If you're doing like, yes, I said it's a cold DM, right, or a cold email, right, but you have to have an objective to it first, right? You have to have a strategy. You know what I mean? And let me give an example. So, you're a student, right? Are you a student at Montgomery College? Okay. So you're a student at University of Maryland and your track is cybersecurity and software development. Okay. And you're a junior? Okay. Do you have a resume? Have you done home labs and things outside? So outside of your cybersecurity classes, have you done things outside of the class, or has the class kind of taught you exercises? Okay, okay. So I would say the first thing that, and there's a lot of things you have to do, but what's like the right thing to do, right? You have to work in priorities. So I would prioritize, you know, reaching out to your alumni network first, you know? And by alumni network, I mean people that are working in cybersecurity, right? That went to the University of Maryland, because I feel like that conversation is a little bit more relaxing. It's less nerve-wracking and scary, because I know sometimes I know the first time I sent a LinkedIn DM to somebody, I was like freaking out because I was like, oh my goodness, I miss a period, or I misspelled a word or something. Nowadays, I just don't care. I'm just like, boom, 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 connect. But yeah, I would say definitely for you, Emily, reach out to the alumni networks within your school, and find out very quickly, when are the internship cycles, because you are at a very great school. I also went to University of Maryland myself, so it's a very great school. And you have to figure out the next priority is what's the recruitment cycle, like when are companies going to come to your school, right? Because they will have live interviews like on the spot, and kids will be lined up with their resumes on the spot, with a suit and tie on the spot, so those companies, they will definitely recruit. And University of Maryland is an excellent program for computer science and cybersecurity. And honestly, these days, from what I've heard, cybersecurity is becoming even more technical now too. There's like, you have to have Python knowledge and like some software development, scripting abilities, because an application, it runs on, servers and network and IT infrastructure. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but, once again, definitely prioritize those two things. Start reaching out to people on LinkedIn that went to your school, number one. And number two, find out from your academic advisor or career counselor folks at University of Maryland, when is the next cycle of career fair or internship cycle, because as a junior, if you are a junior, then you should be, looking, prioritizing internships. And those internships will turn into jobs, But you can connect with me if you have a LinkedIn. You can connect with me and I can talk to you more for sure.
I'm actually going to add on to that. As somebody who gets those cold DMs from students, which I encourage and welcome. So what's the next step, right? You've introduced, you had a conversation. In those conversations, let the person know what exactly you are interested in or how can they help you. If you're looking for a meetup, tell them I'd like to join a meetup. Or if you want to go to a conference, ask them, can they recommend any conferences that are good for students? If you let the person know that you're reaching out to what you're doing, it'll be easier for them to connect the dots. So next time that conference comes up in their email, oh, I remember Emily wants to go to a conference like this. And then they jump on a LinkedIn and say, hey, here's the conference. And look, they have a student discount if you go here. So anything that you can do to give them a little, and it's okay to be specific what you're looking for. It will help them help you.
Oh, yes, I just want to quickly follow up with what Kimberly said. The reason why sometimes the folks, they don't really respond is because they get a lot of cold DMs approaching them, selling them products, like online, or like pitching their service. And so by the time they come to you, it's like, it's not intentional that they don't want to respond, but they're just like, oh, what the heck? Like another person trying to mess me on LinkedIn. I wonder what this is about. I'm not responding, So it's always, once again, it goes back to the objective, right? Like, what is your objective? And the more clear that is, then the more they can help you. Some people would just flat out say, well, as soon as you get on the call with them, they'll be like, hey, how can I help you? What are you looking for? Like, depending on personality, they'll be very straightforward.
That's where that elevator pitch is really helpful with that. Okay, I don't see any more questions in the chat. Do you have a question back there? Okay, yeah, here I come.
It is more like interview question, like for the new employer, for an employer. So it will be, how would you describe a day at your workplace?
interpreted that correctly. So Mercedes, are you referring to like my workday or okay, my workday? Um, Specifically like my role currently. Okay. So my role, it's kind of a split into three buckets, right? Three buckets, three categories. The first is my absolute favorite, and that's when the customers are requesting like wild off the wall feature requests, where they're just like, hey John, can we build this? Can we just tear this completely apart and then just have this enhancement instead, not knowing that that's literally going to affect like 100 of our other federal agencies like, using the same software but different business process, right? And so working with like product and engineering to figure out like, hey, like what in the heck, can we do this, can we not do this, is this feasible, like functionally, technically, from cost, financial, business perspective. The second bucket is working with users to resolve like a wide array of issues. And what I mean a wide array of issues, I mean like from logging into the database is like generating incorrect data or not in or correct data, but in a it just kind of varies, But to sum it up, issues can be like IT related, it could be network related, it could be security related, or just kind of a wide array of technical issues, as well as functional issues too. Like, hey, I don't like this layout, then we have to like go talk to our designer and product people and be like, and then they're like, well, why do we need to change this? And so I have to come up with like reasoning of why we have to. And then the third bucket is when there's like kind of bugs or defects in the system, and we have to triage it to our engineering team, and they have to determine whether they can fix it with simple code, or they have to completely like rebuild or reiterate on the piece of the functionality to make it work better. So once again, it's just like feature request, working with lots of teams to fix issues, ranging from IT to security to network database, and also triaging those bugs and those defects. And we have a lot of them. And in software, you have to learn to prioritize, just like in life. You may have to like do the dishes, and like wash your clothes and things like that. And you have to learn how to prioritize which one's more important to do. So yeah, but yeah, thank you for asking me about my day today.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your wonderful presentation, and thank you all of you in person and also online that joined us today to talk about how do you cultivate a tech network. There were some great tips, so hopefully I saw people jotting them down, so hopefully you will be able to put those into practice. John, I'd like to thank you for your time. I actually have a gift for you. Thank you for your time coming here and spending time at the hub and with our community here that we have. So thank you.
Give yourself a round of applause, like a pat on the back as well, because like I said, you coming here and information gathering and then executing on it, you should be very proud of yourself, because a lot of people will do the same thing over and over and over and expect results, and they call that insanity. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Just a couple of things before we wrap up. First and foremost, the hub is just kicking off our activities for the year. On the screen, you can see our calendar for September. And I'd like to point out actually what's happening this week. Tomorrow, we have a career workshop. The hub is now offering free career coaching and these monthly career workshops that are also hybrid. So a lot of the questions that you had today, there's a career coach that can specifically help you come up with your plan, and they'll support you and provide encouragement. But tomorrow we do have our workshop on employability and transferable skills, which matches perfectly with our topic today. So you're welcome to come back for that. We are also having our Montgomery King Code Summer Camp that we had over the summer. We're having our virtual showcase of the apps, our finalists, so you can join us online for that. New programming at the Hub. We are offering IT career pathway workshops in English and Spanish. Eduardo is going to do that, and it's about demystifying what are the 6 common career pathways in IT. There's lots of different ways to go, and the different pathways appeal to different learning styles and interests. So Eduardo is going to do a deep dive into that. We are also offering Apple Swift Playground boot camps. Those start in October. Again, Eduardo, our technical training and development coordinator, but this is a boot camp. It's similar to what the middle school students have done. But it's for adults. We changed the curriculum a little bit, so it's for an adult audience. So if you want to come here, use our iPads and learn about Apple Swift Playground, and then app development, right, Eduardo, in the spring. So that's coming, again, free. And then just to wrap it up, our next Fireside Chat is in October, and it is Hispanic Heritage Month coming up, starting, and we're celebrating that here, yay, at Montgomery College. So, of course, the Hub is going to participate. We're having a Latinx in STEM panel. So we have a variety of individuals who will be here talking about their career pathways in STEM. And then that's in October, but back to September. On the 21st, we have our first Future of Tech Lunch and Learn with Angus Chen, and he's going to talk about AI for good. So we have a few different topics and opportunities here. So this is our events calendar. Please visit this, click on it. As you know, the registration is right on there. So I hope to see you again this fall at the Hub. And before you click off or leave, if you wouldn't mind filling out our event survey, we really do take your feedback seriously and want to make sure that we have topics and speakers that appeal to you. So Eduardo's pulling that up right now, and thank you.